Judgment of Edom. The vision of Obadiah. Thus says the Lord God to Edom, I heard a report from the Lord, and he sent out a message to the nations, saying, Arise, and let us rise up against her for battle. Behold, I have made you least among the nations, you are greatly dishonored. The arrogance of your heart exalts you, dwelling as you do in the clefts of the rocks, as one overconfident in his habitation, saying in his heart, Who will bring me down to the ground? If you should ascend as the eagle, and if you should make your nest amongst the stars, from there I shall bring you down, says the Lord. If thieves come upon you or robbers by night, then to what place will you escape? Will they not steal a considerable amount for themselves? And surely if grape gatherers come to you, will they not leave a gleaning? How Esau has been searched out, and his hidden things seized. All your allies force you to your borders. Men at peace with you oppose you and prevail against you. They set an ambush below you, there is no understanding in them. In that day, says the Lord, I shall destroy the wise men from Edom and understanding from the mountain of Esau. And your warriors from Teman will be terrified, in order that everyone from the mountain of Esau may be cut off. Because of the slaughter and ungodliness against your brother Jacob, shame shall cover you, and you will be cut off forever. Because of that day in which you stood back and only watched the capture, his forces being led away as captives by foreigners, in the day when they entered his gates and cast lots for Jerusalem, on that day you were as one of them. And you should not have looked on the day of your brother, on the day of foreigners, and you should not have rejoiced against the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, nor spoken boastfully on the day of distress. Neither should you have gone into the gates of the people on the day of their suffering. Neither should you have looked upon their gathering in the day of their ruin, and you should not have joined in the attack on their forces in the day of their destruction. Nor should you have stood at their mountain passes to put to death those escaping, nor should you have taken prisoner those fleeing from them in the day of trial. For the day of the Lord is near against all the nations. For as you have done, it shall be done to you in the same manner. Your recompense shall return on your own head. For in the same way that you drank on my holy mountain, so too shall all the nations drink wine. They will drink and will be brought down, and it will be as if they never existed. But deliverance will come to Mount Zion, and it will be holy. And the house of Jacob shall obtain their inheritance as their rightful inheritance. And the house of Jacob shall be the fire, and the house of Joseph the flame, but the house of Esau shall be the stubble and will be devoured in flames, and no one of the house of Esau will survive, for the Lord has spoken. And those who dwell in the Negev shall inherit the mountain of Esau, and those of the Shephelah the land of the Philistines. They will inherit the mountain of Ephraim, the plains of Samaria and Benjamin, and the land of Gilead. For the captivity of the sons of Israel shall possess the land of the Canaanite as far as Zarephath, the captivity of Jerusalem as far as Ephrathah shall possess the cities of the Negev. And those who have been rescued shall ascend from Mount Zion to exact vengeance on the mountain of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. Notes from the previous and current pages. 1:1 The Old Testament contains 12 references to men named Obadiah. Of this prophet we know little except that his name means servant of the Lord. The people of Edom, descendants of Jacob's elder twin, Esau, CGN 25:19, 26, often stood in conflict with Israel, c 3 kilograms 11:14, 17. Throughout this short book, Edom and Esau are employed interchangeably as titles for an actual kingdom and as general examples of rebellious humanity. 1:2-4 Edom is made least among the nations, that is, humbled in response to its arrogance of heart and boasting. The clefts of the rocks mentioned in v3 are likely an allusion to the Edomite fortress of Selah, also called Taman and Petra, surrounded by cliffs rising up to 2,000 feet in height. Rebellious Edom here typifies the extent of human pride and arrogance with its seemingly boundless scope, yet still brought under the yoke of God. 1:4-7 Obadiah proclaims the destruction of Edom as thorough and complete, whereas thieves steal only what they need or desire, and grape gatherers leave gleanings behind. See Leviticus 19:9, 23-22, Edom will be wholly and completely cast down. 1:8-11 Edom's indictment for the slaughter and ungodliness committed against its brother Jacob is primarily centered on their failure to protect Israel from the foreigners who oppressed it, rather than any specific oppression on the part of the Edomites, though they were not entirely innocent in this regard, CV 13. In failing to protect Israel, Edom incurred the guilt of a good undone, of a lack of fraternal love and responsibility. Perhaps the severity of this crime gives rise to the fact that the judgment against Edom is here pronounced before the full indictment against the nation is proclaimed. It follows in VV 12-14, rather than after, as is usually the case in prophetic literature. 1:12-14 This whole passage is stirringly anticipatory of Jesus' parable of the sheep and goats, Matthew 25:31, 46, and his proclamation that actions done or left undone to the children of God are done directly to Christ, Matthew 25:40, 45. In addition to the historical events undoubtedly referred to in these verses, Edom is also taken up once again as a typification of sinful human attributes, lack of benevolence and pleasure in another's misfortune, v12, passivity and the desire for profit from another's loss, v13, the hindering of another's escape from undue persecution, v14. 1:15-18 Those who would engage in acts such as those described in verses 12-14 are reminded, as you have done, it shall be done to you. A connection between action and consequence that is maintained by Christ in his model prayer, forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, Matthew 6:12. The day of the Lord, that is, his judgment, will come upon all the nations. Such people may rage in their pride and deceit, the likely meaning of so too shall all the nations drink wine, but eventually they shall have their comeuppance and it will be as if they never existed. The faithful of the Lord, however, shall be delivered and sanctified, v17, preserved even through the destruction of those hardened in sin, v18. 1:19-20 This passage, which delineates the possessions of the land as they will be found after God's judgment of Edom, may well be an addition to the original prophetic oracle. The Greek text is confusing, as is the text in the Hebrew, as to the precise geographic extent of the lands delineated, but the general thrust of the proclamation is clear: Judah, oppressed by Edom and its allies, will inherit the land of its oppressors at their defeat. 121 The final proclamation of the prophecy is hopeful both in a political sense, inasmuch as Judah shall exact vengeance on the mountain of Esau, and in a more eschatological sense, the divided people shall again be one. Kingdom is in the singular. And rather than existing under the tumultuous leadership of judges or kings, the kingdom shall be the Lord's.